go. Welcome back to another Hab and Hockey Nation live show with the hockey coach, Coach Frenchy, directly for the beautiful country of the Kingdom of Thailand on amazing, great Thursday night, December 4th, 2025. 21 days before Santa Claus and our tap pop up at your house. If you want to get an our tap Santa Claus, just let Luciano know. It will put him on his plan on the December 24th night. If you have a couple of kids, and after will be bring some present to you directly from Toronto. Otherwise, Montreal Canadiens came back with a big W last night against the Winnipeg Jets. So we're going to talk about this tonight. Of course, we're going to talk about some news because we have a couple of news about the Montreal Canadiens. What's going on in NHL 10 game in action tonight? We already have a couple of surprises. One of them is not very good for the Montreal Canadiens. But we're going to go through this the next couple of hours all together, talking about your favorite team, the Bleu Blanc Rouge, le Tricolore, le Canadien Montreal. And we cannot do this without him back in the house tonight after a couple of days off. And usually he is with us every Wednesday night for the home day show. But unfortunately, we have a game last night, so we have to report this tonight. We're going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. He is sit home from Hawkesbury. Of course, is our friend, notre ami Marco Larabi is in the house tonight.
Hello, there I am. How's it going, everybody? Hello, Hockey Nation. Welcome to a really, really heavy night here in the NHL, Coach, on a Thursday. Lots of important games. RJ Calabro will keep us in the loop here with some pretty important matchups for Montreal. That will definitely, it's the Eastern Conference standings, Coach. You blink, and you're either in the playoffs, out of the playoffs, last place, second place. It changes every day. So it's fun. It's interesting. That's what Gary Bettman wants, is a very close league with lots of parity, and that's definitely what we have. So should be a fun night. We'll keep a close eye on some of those out-of-town scores, and lots of interesting things to talk about, Coach, the game, and then looking forward to the biggest of games, Saturday night, Toronto Maple Leafs. It's going to be a big one.
You're absolutely right about that, Marco. Welcome back. Thanks to be with us. Of course, the 10 game, like you mentioned, RG is going to give delivery. A couple of news, of course, and fun to watch. Finally, like last night, only 5 game Montreal. The night before, the one you watch Montreal, but you losing that other game, right? You just focus on that. So tonight we have no Montreal, so we have an opportunity to watch other team, and they have a couple of great matchups. They have a couple already surprise. We're going to talk about this a little bit later for sure. And welcome, everybody. Raju Bouchard is in the house tonight. Ovidio knocked it off. Frank is smiling with his Pittsburgh Penguins right now. Claude Richard from Ottawa. RJ, like he said. Guy, Billy, there we go. The line. Billy Guy is in the house with Ovidio all together. Randy Walkman from Alberta. Randy, want to talk about Toronto and the Calgary Flames, I'm sure. Marcel Bellil, de retour avec nous ce soir. Marcel, welcome back. Thanks to be with us. Stan the man. The man is always with us every single night. We turn the switch on. Thanks to be with us, Mr. Stan the man. And do we have anybody else? You have a few people who are going to pop up. Please don't forget to subscribe and click on the like. If you don't mind, that'd be good. We appreciate all of you to be with us every single night. We bring you a hockey game, or we talk about the Laval Rocket, Montreal Canadiens, or anything. But one thing we do many shows during the week about the Montreal Bleu Blanc Rouge, the team you're looking for. Tonight, the subject of the evening, we'll go to a couple of things first of all. Do we have a second center now with Oliver Kapanen? We'll talk about this for sure. And then trade coming for Montreal Canadiens, a rumor. Possible a goaltender. Maybe not what was expected, but that was the rumor out on the social media all day long today in Montreal area. So we're going to talk about this. If it's true, is it what you're looking for or not? But we're going to talk about this. We have the expert Marco with us talking about, of course, what the situation with the Montreal Canadiens. And Randy said the Wings just tied the game 1-1. About that. Pittsburgh lead 3-0 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Senator Shane Pedro out of the game, lower body injury. That's That's interesting about that. And then we have other game in action. Toronto right now winning 4-1 against Carolina. Upstairs we have the Rangers winning 3-1 against Ottawa. So it's the I think we have to believe that Marco, when we said when you came back for the long trip, the first game is always hard. Yeah, is it? What is the biggest thing about that? What makes so hard for the team came back home and it's harder for them compared game number 2, game number 3. Like, is it because they miss their family, or is it whether it's not the same? What's going on?
Yeah, that's what you hear, right? Is it's a very complicated lifestyle if you're off on the road for a long time. It maybe doesn't affect the younger players as much because they don't have as much going on in their households. But if you look like at a guy like Jake Evans right now, who has like baby twins, or if you have Brendan Gallagher who has a young baby, like just coming home, kind of getting reorganized, getting dealing with all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so it's something that's well established over many years that it's always a bit of a challenge for a team returning home after a long road trip. I'm sure they have sports medicine people, they have all kinds of different people that try to mitigate that as much as possible and try to make the life for the athletes as easy as possible. But for some reason or another, coach, it's something that you can always count on, and definitely that was the case for Montreal in their first game back after their road trip. For sure, we saw it.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's maybe Jake Evan and Gallagher have a struggling this year. Maybe the BB make the make the hockey different about
Yeah,
that. We have Randy in the house. We have a couple of people in the house, and I have a question for Marco. It was not maybe not expect that, but I'm watching the game right now, and I watched yesterday. I see the couple of game left and right, and then I watching right now Frederick Anderson, Max Strom, and you have a Gibson, and I can go with many goaltender this year. Ulmark, that's another one there. Montembeau is another one there. Many goaltender, they are struggling this year. The goal again average is lower like he was, but it's still we're not talking about only like by one goal. Like they are over 3 point something. They are around 8.6, 8.7. What's going on with those kind of goaltender? Like I'm surprised. On the flip side, we have to give credit for Jarry or Askarov or Cooley. Yeah, other flip the night and everything on that, just again, everything on that. But what's the problem in general? Those goaltender, there's been very good goaltender in NHL, and this year they are behind badly.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the numbers in front of me, coach. It's pretty crazy, right? Like, and you can't necessarily say it's just veterans, right? Because you look at a goalie like Dustin Wolf. Dustin Wolf also kind of player goaltender that's underperforming. Goaltending, like we've made this joke before here, coach. Like goaltending is voodoo, right? Like organizations don't spend enough resources, I think, coaching, developing, tracking, goaltending. Like they do have a dedicated goaltending coach and everything else, but we've talked about this before too. Like, should the NHL expand roster size so that teams can carry 3 goalies? Like you can technically do it, right? But it penalizes you that you can't carry other players on your roster. Maybe like with the amount of games that average goalie, number one goalie plays now, it's more like 55, 60 games. You need 3 goalies in your organization every year to stay competitive, just because there's so many things that happen. So I don't think there's one magic answer to explain why you're seeing goaltenders like Markstrom, Gibson, Stolars, Lindmark, Corpusalo, like they're all Montembeau. They're all in really kind of lower elements of the main metrics that you look at: goal saves against, above expected, even just goals against average. So it's just one of those things, and it's in my headline today, coach, about Montreal's goaltending situation. But it's one of those things where it's probably the most difficult thing to get right, or to be sure of, and to be 100% confident that you have a solution that is going to be a permanent, steady solution for years and years and years. It's just so rare that you're going to have. And like, let's remember, like, even in the period of time where Montreal had Carey Price, there were periods, there was many seasons there where many seasons that Carey Price had were not very good. Like, he was underperforming. And so even with elite goaltending, Hall of Fame potential goaltending like Carey Price, sometimes you're just going to have down years. It's a very taxing position. So listen, I think a lot of NHL teams would love to have the magic formula, but it's just one of those things. Goaltending is voodoo. And I think the best strategy that you can have is have as many options as possible to get you through a long 82 game season, right? And teams that have depth in that position, I think it's so important. Look at Boston when they had Allmark and Swayman. Like, it's so critical to have that. And we'll talk about that tonight, what Montreal's current state of affairs is in goal.
That brings me another question, and that will go to a question to start after that. If you look at those, like if you look at Carolina right now, right? Anderson very bad, but then you have the backup step up. Like Montebo is bad, right? Imagine if Dobej was primo last year. Like, think about this right now. Look, St. Louis, Bennington is bad. Offer is not better, and look what they are on the state on the standing. My point behind that is, like, right now, I don't think they have. And it's going to be, maybe the trend is going there. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but are you agree with me at some point? No, you have the exception, the Alibag, the Sorokin, the Chesterkin, right?
Yeah, but, so rare though.
Right, exactly. So take maybe 7th, 8th team out of the 24, maybe 24 more. Yeah. I don't think the 24 more team. It's not about goaltender one anymore. It's A and B together, and they go there, or 1, 2 together. They have no 2 and 1 anymore. Look, Proboski is not better this year. 0.881 this year. Proboski also the Panthers. So I just want to bring that. I think it was a good question to start the show, and then we have Stan before we move on to the headline of the night. Could the issue of the condensed schedule due to Olympics change something there? The back-to-back goal, the back-to-back game. It could maybe be a factor also.
It could, but like I said, Coach, it's many things. We've talked about it here for years, right? The overall style that goalies play now, like without getting super technical, but the reverse VH is so demanding physically for them to play that you can't expect a goaltender to play over 60 games and have anything left. Like, it's miraculous. Like I said, there's only maybe 4 or 5 goalies that can do that and still maintain their performance, right? So with the wear and tear, with especially in a condensed year and everything else, you absolutely need 3 goaltenders to make it through a season. Like I said, the NHL needs to modernize how they look at goaltending. And to me, a team should be allowed to carry 3 goaltenders on their roster, increase the roster by 1 spot so that you can just have 3 goaltenders, because it's clear that, and listen, I hear it all the time. Like, I was even just watching I think it was one of the games today, and they're saying, like, it was Carolina. They're carrying 3 goalies right now. And I think a lot of management teams don't think that you can carry 3 goalies because it's weird for practice and there's a lot of things that happen, or it's just not usual. But again, like, you have to adapt based on the wear and tear on goalies and how things are changing. I think the NHL just needs to look at that, because it's just not realistic anymore.
That's a good point about that. I would say to you, maybe like maybe not to the roster, but you have an exception about the player. Like you have another way to go with that part. Also, the development of goaltender take a little bit longer, right? It's not like at 20. It's rare. You're 20, 21 years old. You pop up in the NHL, and then you go all the way for the rest of career. There have always been an exception, but those usually it take a little bit longer. 23, 24.
You're stealing all the thoughts in my headline there, Coach.
Oh yeah, I'm going to get there now. Okay, so I'm going to move on to headlines right there, if you don't mind. We talk about goaltender. I did not, I knew it was that, but I was not know about you going to get that direction. So going to say about that, Marco. Here we go.
Yeah. So so great segue there, Coach, into what I want to talk about in our headline. So, you see here, so you've got a bit of a ménage à trois, right? You've got Montembeault, Dobesh, and then you've got Jacob Fowler. So, yeah, with everything that's happening right now in the Montreal goaltending situation, you're hearing all kinds of people. Well, there's some people saying that he should come up now, but there's a lot of people that might just have the expectation like he might be ready to come up next year or even the year after that. And I just want to kind of clarify and give a little bit of context, kind of what the real timeline would be for Jacob Fowler, and what does that mean for Montreal's current goaltending situation, right? So, just to give you some context, guys. So, right now, Jacob Fowler is 21 years old, right? He had a couple of seasons in the NCAA, and he's played under 20 games in the AHL. Okay, so if I just did some quick research here and I looked at some of the goalies, the younger goalies that have come up, say in the last couple of years and this year, right? So I looked at Jake Ottinger, I looked at Wallstead in Minnesota, I looked at Askarov, Dostal in Anaheim, and I looked at Spencer Knight in Chicago. Okay, some of these are just starting to emerge. Some of them, like Ottinger, has been in the league for a couple of years, right? The one thing that you see consistently here, very very simply, is on average you're going to want your goaltending prospect to play at least 100 pro games before they're going to play in the NHL. If you look like in those guys that I just mentioned, the only exception really is Ottinger. Ottinger only played, I believe, 54 AHL games, and then he became a backup, and then boom, he's an exception to the rule, right? But on average, these guys, they're really only becoming starters. And I'm not saying true elite number ones, I'm saying starters where they play at least, say, 40 games in the NHL between 23 and 24 years old, coach, right? So that's kind of the age that you have to expect. And on average, like I said, they're playing at least 100 games pro. So for people who are, and again, you look at Lucas Dostal, 98 games in the AHL, but he had played 50 odd games before that in the SHL, right? So he had a lot of pro games before that. So guys, so I wanted to bring this up for two reasons, right? So we have to cool our jets a little bit when it comes to fans who are, maybe asking for Fowler to come up now. Could they call him up for one game as a Christmas present or like a cookie at the end of the year? Fine. But you're not expecting him. Please, do not call him up for any stretch of games. And especially don't do the same mistake that you did with Caden Primo, where you're having him just sit and back up whoever's starting in Montreal. That's the first thing. Now, if I'm right, or if the average, unless Jacob Fowler is an exception, like Jake Ottinger is, and he's ready to play after only 44 AHL games, and he's ready to play at 22 years old. And again, there's not many of those guys. Then is Montreal okay for the next 3 years with the existing goaltending that they have? And that's kind of goes with the subject of tonight's show, right? So does Kent Hughes need to kind of go out based on what they're seeing here and sacrifice one of these? Do you sacrifice Dobesh to go get a piece to play with Montembeault, or do you just trade Montembeault and make another piece and use assets that you'd otherwise want to use for a second center? Like, that's a whole other conversation, right? But before we can have that conversation, people need to realize that unless he is a complete outlier, which is not impossible, like we really like Jacob Fowler and he's having a good solid start in the AHL. But I'm just saying it's very, very rare that a goaltender is going to come up and have an impact in the NHL before the age of 23, 24, right? So curious to see what everybody thinks. Coach, I'm curious about kind of, I'm sure you're hearing the same things. People, really asking and maybe thinking that Fowler could come and make a difference as soon as next year. Do you see it the same way? Like, would you be surprised that Jacob Fowler is in the mix next year? Or do you agree that it's more likely that Montreal needs to really firm up something for the next 2 to 3 seasons before we see Fowler really come up and make a difference?
All the what you talk about is that's a great stuff, by the way. And sometimes it depends, and I would say the word depends. It's rare a player go from NCAA go straight to NHL. It's rare, did not a lot. I think I did a stat like last year or 2 years ago where you can talk about Mailer or Richie, Mike Richard, the New York Rangers. But
Not
usually,
goaltenders, though. Not
yeah, yeah, yeah,
goaltenders,
yeah,
though. Like,
yeah,
but
yeah,
these are
yeah, yeah.
forwards, right? Very
Yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah. And now you have to pass at least 1 or 2 years, or some 3 years in the American Hockey League before get there. I think if you want to go a little bit closer, you can talk about Wallstead, Kosa did not get here,
Yeah.
and of course you can talk about Askarov,
Yeah.
another
So I have
goaltender, the Russia, everything like that,
I have the
right?
list. I have the list right in front of me here, Coach. So Askarov, 114 AHL games. Spencer Knight. So again, he was a bit of an exception. Only played 58 AHL games, but we saw what happened with him. He's now 24, and only now is he really establishing himself, right? Like Dustal, 98 AHL games, but 50 games before that in Liga as well, right? And he was like really more 24 when he really got there. So and then Wallstead, 110 AHL games, and he also played some other pro as well, right? And like we all seen what Wallstead is doing right now. He has 4 shutouts in his last 6 games. But go look at his numbers in the AHL last year. He was terrible last year in the AHL, and he worked really hard this summer. So again, it's goaltending is voodoo, guys. It's very hard to predict. But again, like you have to be super careful if you're thinking that Fowler is going to come in and be the number one goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens next year or even the year after that. I don't even know if that's really realistic.
Well,
Right?
look, Tobash is a great example, right? 3 years, 2 years and a half, and say then he go to American Hockey League. He did been there what 3 years for Tobash. Then he go with Montreal. I think for me, Fuller should be another year in American Hockey League. That said, sometimes you have to go quicker because the situation in Montreal could be a problem next season. But I think both contenders have another year contract. Montreal still have 1 more year contract, if I can recall it properly. So I don't think so. It will be a big push right there. But I think the cookies, right? Give some cookies. You're not
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm not saying he can't come up and play a game or two, right? But like I think
I'll
that's
be honest
fine.
with you. I know I'm going to advise everything, guys. But right now, I'm going to shock everyone tonight. And I did not look the schedule of the Rocket, but they play Friday night, and I think they play Saturday. I could be wrong. But for me, you let play Fowlers Friday night, and you call him up Sunday. You let him play. Montebo is sit. Tobage is watching on the backup, and then you can him a cookie, and then return him. And Montreal have enough players. They don't have a 23 years roster. So I think that's what sometimes you have to shake everything. Like you said yesterday, Budzik, everybody, the game before that. Why not do the same thing with Montembeau? To sit him one day and then gave a cookie for Fuller. Fuller is looking great, by the way, right now in Laval. And you know what? As the end of the day, it does not work. Go back home and go back the next one. And I think it will be difficult to bring up Kapanen because if you bring him back with all the situation goaltender in it, surely bring him back down. Possibly will never go through the waiver list. But that's something I think you should go there. But I don't think so. Fuller will be the next one next season. I think another year with Laval would be perfect for him. Now you can call him back over the edge on the season. I think you said Oettinger start 10 game, 12 game the third year.
Yeah, like so he started like he played I think like 20 something games in his first year.
And then he can call up. And then he's still with Dallas Star at his third year.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a good way to get that about that one over there. Andre, hey Marco, are they the same Peps demanding a trade or player after a bad play mistake?
Well, you'd be surprised. Like there's all kinds of people that I think people are just really excited to see Fowler. And we've been really lucky as Montreal Canadiens fans. You've seen Demidov, you've seen Slavkovsky come in, you've seen Lane Hudson. Every year, we're seeing a new prospect that we've all been waiting for join the team, right? And most of Montreal's blue chip prospects are already on the team, right? So at some point, fans just get a little bit spoiled. But all I want to say is that for goaltenders, guys, it's very, very different. Like I said, Coach, even your wish of maybe seeing Fowler next year, that's very rare that you're going to have a guy come up that early and make an NHL team and it work out very well, right? So, like I said, Ottinger, you can use him as an example, but it's not the norm. It's more the exception to the rule, more so than the rule.
No, you're absolutely about that. I agree with you. N26, welcome in the house. XP, welcome. Henry, welcome. Don't forget, everybody, to click on the like. If you don't mind, that'd be great. Let's move on for mine very quickly. Who are they? You go. Negotiator or trader? And that brings me to back. Let's go with a couple of trade recently. Budzik Mayu. Budzik not looking good right now with the Montreal Canadiens. And then you can go with many trade they did for the last Sunday start with the Montreal. The Duck trade, where Duck has been a really injury many times. Then New Hook. Now, New Hook, he picked it up here, but still, it's not full what the trade was. And then you have the Baron trade with Lekonen, where that trade did not turn around to be good for the Montreal Canadiens at the end of the day. And then I can go with many trades they did where they are not winning those trades. And they are selling a lot of asset in return. Dobson, $9.5 million. Dobson went out at 9.5. Leonardson deserved $18 million right now beside Dobson last night. Dobson, you gave Henneman, you gave 2 pick, first round pick, Eggenson and Eklund. Well, maybe in 3 years, they're going to be a great solid player for the New York Islanders for Dobson. Yeah, he fixed a problem, but the way he played, you give him a $9.5 million, that's a very questionable. So we have a lot of things about the trade side where they are not average GM and lower below average. And then on the negotiator, they are great. Salary cap, they are going to a lot of great things. So they have a lot of things where we have to be careful because another bad trade could put that team behind the rebuild team. And then that's the problem they have right now. Like they make a trade, but those players does not perform. That they gave away Kovacevic for nothing. And now I think you could use Kovacevic last season and this year as the right defenseman. So they had a couple of questionable decisions they took, and Montreal paid a price for at that moment. And I think this is one I believe they are really not great on that category of the GM. On the other flip side, on the salary cap, yes, definitely they are looking good about this. The salary cap is maybe the dream. I would say to you, top 3 best salary cap around the NHL right now. And they have to clean up a couple more things on the salary cap after the Anderson, Gallagher, after that. But I think for me, Marco, this is where you always talk about roster construction, and they have to figure out this side of this game where they cannot make always mistake after mistake. And you're going to tell me, yeah, they went Carrier and Barron. Yeah, last year, but this year, Carrier is not like great at that moment. And there are a lot of players they got right now. They are coming from Marc Bergevin draft pick. Yes, they may have and everything like that. I understand that. But I think overall, you have to be honest with you.
Listen, I think it's a fair discussion, Coach. Like, I'm not sure I would agree with your grading on all those trades, but there's no question that you have to grade his negotiating skills and his salary cap management skills higher than the trade skills or the trade results that he's gotten. I'll agree with you there for sure. And you're right. Like I've said this before, right? Like the phases that Montreal has been through so far, the asset collection phase, drafting and developing phase, that's kind of the easy part, right? Because you're basically just selling assets and you're collecting and you're drafting. Not like, again, you can make a lot of mistakes drafting as well, right? But it's easier than the part that is happening right now, which is, first of all, assessing the talent that you have, because you have a pool of talent. You have to pick the people that you're going to build your core around. And then you have to make the trades with supplementary or with the assets that you have as a surplus to go get the pieces that you're missing, right? And you can't afford to make mistakes, like you said, Coach. At this stage, like there's so many teams. Like again, I think this is my headline a couple weeks ago, right? Like you don't want to be one of those teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Ottawa Senators of the 2000s, that have like a really, really good rebuild and a really good young team, but they never win a championship because they never do the roster construction part correctly, right? And I think that's really important. Like, so Montreal, they're just entering their window to do the where they're going to be a competitive team. So you can't make mistakes. And I agree. Like, it's a very tough trade market. There's not a lot of trades to be had, but so I think right now that's why you're seeing Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon being very, very patient because they can't afford to make any mistakes when it comes to these moves.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I think we have to wait a couple of more weeks and months to get that direction right there. What a save by just a second. Woof.
Yeah.
Wow. And he hit after that the goaltender. Is this Souza? I don't know. Yeah, it's Tim Souza. Say with the glove. So yeah, what you see at that? Nendel, welcome in the house. Thanks to be with us. And any others, I appreciate a lot. You forget. You have any question, guys? You can ask question. We are here for you guys on the Thursday night, very quiet night. So we're going to give you everything that's going on. So usually we talk about NHL, guys. We're going to go straight to Montreal Canadiens, and from that part, we're going to go to the next things for the Montreal Canadiens. News, Montreal after the game last night, it been on this, nobody talk about this. It was very quiet until like maybe 1 hour after the game. When they sent down Florent Jacquet and Adam Ekstrom to the Laval Rocket. They did not call anybody in return. So my question to you is, give us a little bit an evaluation of the both players, how they perform, how you see them. And then on the flip side, are you surprised they don't call anybody? I know they still, practice tomorrow, Friday, and then they traveling to Toronto and they play Toronto. Are they going to call one or not? Laval play tomorrow. They're on the road. I think they play this weekend at Belleville. So how you feel about that?
Yeah. So evaluating the call up. So, when it comes to Florian, there's no question Florian had a pretty impactful game when he first got called up against Toronto. Like, I think people maybe overblew it a little bit. Like, he did have, a couple good hits, and he definitely had a lot of adrenaline and brought some energy. But if you look overall, Coach, at kind of what he did when he was up, right now, I don't think he's ready to play consistently in the NHL. That's my take. Like, there's no question that he can be physical. I didn't see the skating at the level that I would want, to be honest, for him to track down people enough to use those hits. So the skating, I'm not sure is 100% there, and just the overall, kind of ability to kind of for puck play, right? Like, and not, I'm not saying he has to create a whole bunch of scoring chances, right? But just not really doing much of anything out there. Very low events. Didn't really hurt them, right? But didn't really bring that much. So I think it was time for him to kind of go back down and see what he can do at increasing and just becoming a better player in Laval. For Engstrom, like I don't think we saw enough of him. Like, I think it was great for him to get his feet wet. He definitely didn't look out of place out there, right? He wasn't really put in the best position. That Colorado game was a really tough game, but he didn't look bad in that game. So definitely didn't hurt his cause, Coach, like Engstrom. But we just need to get a bigger look at him at the NHL level to really kind of see what where he's at with his development. But I think it makes sense to send both down. I was a little surprised that they didn't call somebody up, but I wouldn't be surprised if they call Samuel Blais up tomorrow, right, to play play against Toronto on Saturday. Like, I could see him being more effective than a Jared Davidson for that game. And I think, again, it would just be funny to have him play for both teams in the span of a couple weeks against each other on Saturday. I think it would just be kind of interesting to see that. So I'm kind of rooting for that to happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if they call somebody up. To me, it would make sense that they call up Samuel Blais for the game on Saturday.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of big sample about this. I think I said, Jacky is just a question time before he returned. Uh, Not because he's not, he did not play bad. It's just he's not there yet, not ready yet.
What do you
And I
think of the
think,
skating coach though? Like, did you find he like his skating was at NHL level? Like I found he wasn't really getting around the ice as much as he would need to be effective in what he's going to do.
yeah, but sometimes you're right when you're watching him, but you have some kind of at the beginning like that, like the first game. I never evaluate a lot of big game. Like the first two game, maybe they have the adrenaline, and then they are like boom, 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 right? They are like much rate and something like that. But the game number 4, 5, 6, 7, I know they did not reach there. But my point of view is Kapanen is a great example right there. Like Kapanen, he took him last year, 18 game maybe, and then last year was not what you see him this year. And
Yeah, but the thing that's different with Kapanen coach is that even when he was called up, it was never his skating. Like you
no,
could
no,
you
no.
could
My
definitely
point of view was like this: like when he went to back in Liga, he got developed better. Like he knew what he need to work on it. He need and that's my
yeah
point here. With Jacky now, okay, skating is not there when I need to get better on to reach that area of the NHL. How I can
yeah
say NHL. So that's my point, and I can do the same thing with Ekstrom. Uh, well, Ekstrom was not bad. It's just like he didn't have enough. 8-9 minutes per game. Like it's not good enough. So both of them is good over there. But I'm surprised they not call up Sammy Blais. Honestly. Um,
it could still happen tomorrow though, right? Like
oh
it's
yeah, definitely it could
yeah,
happen
yeah.
there for sure. Definitely could happen. Pierre Martin is in the house. Dan Asham Colette is in the house. Henry Jerry is in the house. And 26, of course, have a great. And 20, I believe, is more of the timeline. One Gally and Anderson bad contract get off of the book is one we have to complete another round of the playoff. That's a good point about that one there. You have Henry, and I want you to read that straight if you don't mind. Maybe I don't know if you can see on the top right there, but he said and inside and watching the grass, do we get full circle back? And then he adds something before the Dobson trade. So I don't know.
Yeah.
TH, welcome back, by the way. So any comments you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like I think Zegras has been a pleasant surprise in Philadelphia, and like I think he's fit in well there. In the first 25 games or whatever it is. I still don't necessarily think it's the right. It would have been the right fit for Montreal. It's pretty clear. It's been well documented that Montreal was in on getting Trevor Zegras if they weren't able to draft Demidov. If they wouldn't have gotten Demidov and maybe they got Brett Seneca instead or somebody like that, maybe they go for somebody like Trevor Zegras. But I don't think you could have Trevor Zegras and Demidov in your top six. Like they're too similar. Like Coach, you were talking about wanting a little bit more size and grit in the lineup. Like I just don't think it would be a good fit. Like could in the very very short term would Trevor Zegras add more offense? And is he a little bit of a better two-way player than he was in Anaheim? Absolutely. But I still just don't think that in the long term it was the right fit for Montreal's top six. So I'm happy that it's working out for Philadelphia and good. Like he's an exciting player, right? So you want him to be successful in the league. It's not somebody that you want to just not be able to play in the league, right? So good for him to move on from Anaheim and have a good start in Philadelphia. But I don't think it would have been the right fit here in Montreal.
Yeah, absolutely about that. Very great comment and the chat. Welcome everybody. Thanks again. Don't forget, please, to click on the likes. Hey, Coach, I'm loving live right now, Jerry. That's a great thing for Maryland. TH, all well with Billy and Coach. About that, Henry, what is Zegras become Marchand 2.0?
Marchand, like Brad Marchand, like I'm not sure I would call him that. Like he can be a little bit of a guesser, right? Like he can kind of get under players' skin, right? But I wouldn't classify him as the same kind of. Il est un peu baveux, right? Comme c'est un baveux.
It's a different
But
skill, Marco. Both
yeah,
of them is different skill about that. One is a center. One is a little bit not. Marchand, he would go in the corner all day long. They're not afraid. Zegras, he
yeah.
will break before he go in the corner, and he will look who's coming around him. No.
No, for sure. Like Brad Marchand is the guy that if you hear Kent Hughes talk about Brad Marchand, is he's somebody that improved year after year after year. Like he just kept getting better and better, always improving his skills. So while Trevor Zegras is the opposite, right? Like he came in super skilled and he had to learn how to play hockey, right? So Brad Marchand was always a gamer and he needed to add some of the skill. And then Trevor Zegras is the opposite. It has all the skill and he just needs to become more of a gamer. So the only thing I think they have in common is that they have a little bit of, like, I won't say an edge, but they can get underneath opponents' skin because they're kind of like, they can be a little bit dicks on the ice to other players. So that, I think that's the only thing they have in common.
But we have to give credit for Rick Tocchet to find motivate Zegras to play this right now. And on the flip side, we say one thing, guys. This league now is about a league of extra point, Marco. That's it is right now. It's we talk about power play before, right? The power play make it fun right there. But now, as you go in the playoff on the overtime and the shootout, you need skilled player. You need someone as a grass lead in NHL and the NHL history with the most goals on the shootout. Flyers guys this year are 5-0 this year. 5 points.
Over 60%. Over 60% in his career on shootouts, man. It's
5
crazy.
points, Marco, and the Sunday, you on the bottom. You're right there on the bottom. So his various contract are $7 million for that on that side. This is what really is good there. We have a question from Garrett. Marco, where would you rank Markov among best defensemen to ever play for the Montreal Canadiens?
Yeah, and I saw somebody else mention the ceremony, so we should talk about that, Coach. The great ceremony. I don't know if you have it later in our slides, but it was really great to see Andrei Markov back at the Bell Center. It was pretty for a guy that you never hear talk at all in all his years in Montreal. That's definitely, I think, the most fans have seen him talk in a row ever, I think. But it was very good. Like, I think he did a really good job with his speech. Obviously, he had Salut Montréal in there, really got the crowd going. But I think it was really nice. I thought it was interesting, though, that no Saku Koivu, no Alexei Kovalev in the presentation. So that's interesting to me. Why those guys wouldn't be on their presentation? I don't know if they were the best of friends after, but it's great to see players like Carey Price and PK Subban. Even had Alexei Ovechkin. Alex Ovechkin be on his little video tribute. So I think it was great. The fans, as always, were awesome in doing the tribute to him. So I think it was really good. In terms of how he ranks, I again, like, you can't compare him to anybody. And again, I didn't watch the 70s, right? Players like the dynasties from the 70s. In terms of my era, which is like, late 80s and after, he's right up there, right? Like you'd have to say PK, Markov, are probably the two best defensemen, that Montreal had. Like, I did see a little bit of Larry Robinson towards the end. I saw a little bit of Chris Chelios as well. So, I don't think you can rank him as high as like a Chris Chelios, but you can definitely rank him above an Eric Desjardins, so again, like, it's definitely top 10 in my era of Habs defensemen. What I love the most about him is the resilience that he had. Like, after the really, really serious knee injuries that he had, he was able to come back. And when everybody had written him off, and come back and still learn how to play. Even he wasn't as mobile as before. He was a really smart player. And so it was great to see him, though. But, I still rank players like Chelios probably ahead of him in that era of Habs defense. I would rank him right there with PK, though. Like, to me, him and PK are kind of on the same level. Not in terms of being exciting, because Markov wasn't as flashy as PK. But would you choose Hudson over any of those guys? I would. I think I'd still choose Hudson over Markov and PK, to be honest. So it's an interesting discussion. I think we have to wait a couple years to see how Hudson plays out, to see how you would rank, say, PK, Markov, and Hudson. I don't know, Coach, where would you rank those three right now?
Well, it's a tough one because, we never saw play Doug Harvey. And I did something during summer, like the top best 5 defensemen, goalie, blah, 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 everything like that, right? And Everybody was reminding me two players did not pay attention, but never like Doug Avery and Jacques Laperrière and Jean-Claude Tremblay. There are three defensemen there. I cannot qualify that. Other fact, for what I heard, Doug Avery was maybe the best on that one there. You have Larry Robinson, Guy Lapointe, Serge Chavard at the time of the 1970s. And then after that, you move on to the next generation. Was I think Chris Chelios was really the one step up on that one for the Montreal Canadiens. And then, you have a couple of defensemen left and right. And then you have the sequence of Markov and then Piquet Subban. And now we have Lane Hudson. So I'll give you about, 10 defensemen right there. And it will be difficult for me. I would go.
What about Sergei Gonchar, coach? Sergei Gonchar.
Well, he played, 1 or 2 years with the Montreal. But I would say to you guys, if I go by my top three right there, I would start with Doug Avery, whatever I never saw him for what we heard return of that. Larry Robinson, I see him play on that. And then after that's what starts to be very difficult. It's just about who do you like and what you see them. And I believe at the end of his career, Lane Hudson will be in the top 5 for the Montreal and maybe top 3. I believe that. So I'm not going to put him on that one. And I just go with the title player I like on my third, and I go with Christian Hughes.
I think you can say Markov is definitely top 10 in overall Habs history, but it's again, you can't even compare it with the 70s teams, right? Like the big three, it's almost like a different era, right? So, and again, I saw Robinson play mostly in the 80s. But based on my knowledge, I think, yeah, you're right. Like Harvey, from all accounts, would be number 1, Lair Robinson, and then then it becomes a bit of a debate after that. But Chilios, just being a Hall of Fame guy, I think he would be there. But I think Markov probably in the top 10, in history, I would say.
And Shea Weber. Some people talk about Shea Weber also.
That's good. Absolutely, you can't forget Shea Weber, man.
You can put on that one over there. So I think you can split the 20 century, 21st century. If you're going to that one, that would be a good one. A lot of new people can knock the door. Welcome, everybody. Don't forget, please, to click on the likes. We appreciate that. A2 knock the door. Ron Kings, JJJ Smith, welcome back. Thanks for all the like we got. We go with Ron. With all the league is today, should we even care about the goalie number? So that's a good question, Ron. And I will change the question to you, Marco. Which category are you looking for on the stat to see, okay, this is where I really pay more attention about that. Senator just cut the lead from 2-1 now, 6:52. The Lightning are back, just losing by 1 goal behind the Pittsburgh right now with 10 minutes. The Islanders now winning only by 2 goals against Colorado Avalanche. 11 minutes to go remaining. The Detroit came back, and now they are only 1 goal behind after 2 periods. Remember, guys, Blue Jacket, I write for them too. The Blue Jacket, Marco, in the last 13 games now, but they play 8 games in overtime, and they lost 6 times after the lead at the 3rd period.
Yeah, and now they have Marchenko back, though, right? So you think things are going to start to turn around?
Marchenko is back, yeah. You're right about that tonight, about this. So sorry about this. I just changed the question. I was just checking.
Yeah, no, that's a good. All right, so the question was, what are some of the things you look at for goaltending? Like, to me, it comes to, like, so anybody that's still just looking at save percentage, you're missing the boat. You're not really getting the full picture. What I look for is an easy way to think of it, coach, is what is the environment that the goalie is playing in? Because it has an impact on the quality of shots that they're going to be facing, right? So one of the things that I'm starting to look at more and more is what is the expected save percentage for that game, for that goalie. It's hard to find that stat, right? But it's when I find it, it's always really interesting. Is what is the expected save percentage for that game? And so if, for example, if based on the environment that the goalie was playing in, so if the defending team, let's say it's Montreal, let's say they didn't allow a whole bunch of really high danger scoring chances and they played a good solid game, and the types of shots that the goalie faced, we expected that the goalie should have a 905 save percentage or a 910 save percentage. If the goaltender is saving less than that, then that's where you get that statistic, right? Like goals saved under what was expected versus above what was expected. So that's to me what I look for is, okay, so based on the strength of shots that they're facing, again, Steve Valakit has amazing data for this, and there's tons and tons of information out there, and some of it can be a bit harder to find. But really, what you're looking at is the quality of chances. Do they have to go east to west? Were the shots, screened? All those things, right? Like, were they in high danger scoring areas? Ultimately, it comes down to what was the expected save percentage based on the environment, the danger, like how well they're playing in front of the goalie versus what they were able to do. And if you look at overall at what Dobesh and Montreal and Montembeault have done this year, it's actually not the worst. Like if you just look at their statistics, Montembeault is one of the worst in the NHL. But the environment that Montreal has provided for Montembeault is really bad. Like it's not he's not that much under what the statistics think he should be saving. So it does tell you a lot more, coach. It's not just save percentage. It has a lot to do with how well the team is playing in front of the goaltender. So those are the stats that I look at.
Yeah, absolutely. About that, Austin, welcome in the house. Thanks to be with us at the Hockey Nation Live Show. A lot of people knock the door. Welcome, everybody. Good difference. It got good goalie about that. I think for me, it's like you said, right now it's just the save percentage, everything like that. The net is going to be really what I'm looking for. Montreal played last night, guys. We'll talk about Montreal Canadiens, the game last night, and what we expect. We had a lot of conversation. I think we're going to skip the NHL tonight because we have the breakdown to talk about this. So let's talk here about the Montreal Canadiens. Marco. And we are back. Last night, the Montreal Canadiens won the game, Marco, 3-2 against the Winnipeg Jet. And not the first time, but a shootout. And Cole Caulfield scored a goal. So and we're going to talk about this game. I'm going to give you a little bit more what happening. And then we're going to talk about the shootout, everything. So I'm going to get you about who you think performed the most. But happened last night, guys, I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. Kapanen, I missed at the end. Score is 8 goal of the season. Sakoski is 9. Sakoski, guys, is 9 goal. 6 goals of these 9 are on power play this year. Caulfield continues his 9 games straight at 1 point for Caulfield. Tobesh finished at .936, I believe. Power play score under the goal. 3 goal power play in the last 2 games for the Montreal Canadiens. Demidov play a steady game overall. I believe, is it one is highest number of the TOI with the Montreal Canadiens. Jekai play his role last night. And Montreal answered back after Carrier. Les 4 fers en l'air, on dirait en français, mon Marco. This is a viral video you can put on the YouTube channel.
Rock'em Sock'em Don Cherry 1980 videos there.
That was like, wow. He's always involved about this. That said, I'm going to stay there. I'm not going to go to the bad and the ugly yet. But how you feel about the game in general? People in the chat, I will ask you one question, and it will be that way. And tell me, is it a great game for the Montreal Canadiens? Is it a good game for the Montreal Canadiens? Or is it an average game for the Montreal Canadiens? And it was not great at the end of the day for the Montreal Canadiens. Whatever, they get 2 points. So, Marco, you are the first one right there. And thanks already to be a part of the show. Don't forget, please, to click on the like conversation in that chat already. Here we go, Marco.
Well, looking at your slide here of some of the good things, that we can pull out of last night's game, I think you nailed most of these, right? Like, Kapanen, definitely production is good. Slav continues to be, evolving, like interesting call for I by the way, I didn't hate the strategy that St. Louis had against Winnipeg last night. Like Winnipeg at this stage is really, really a top heavy team with just one line that's producing. So deciding to put Slav back up there with Suzuki and Caulfield to go power on power. If you look at overall, like it was a little bit of a tougher night for that line, but they were facing the second best line in the NHL. If you look at the advanced analytics, right? So I think it was a smart move. It's rare that right now, with all the injuries that Montreal has, it's rare that they're going to beat a team with their depth. But that's kind of what you saw last night, right? Is they went power on power, and you could say that the two lines kind of neutralized themselves. They both. I don't think Suzuki's line scored 5-on-5, but they got some points on the power play, and they didn't go bananas on Montreal 5-on-5. So overall, like the strategy. I don't know if they're going to do that again for Toronto. They might decide to kind of go back to having Slavkovsky with, with both Demidov and Kapanen again. We'll have to see. But I like that idea. So in Slavkovsky, again, really strong game. You continue to see him get a little bit more confidence carrying the puck, and I really like that. Caulfield, like you said, like a good point streak. Hasn't scored 5-on-5 in a while, so it'd be nice to get him back on track there. We were just talking about save percentage, coach, and how it's maybe not always the most accurate thing. 935, people are going to look at Dobesh and they'll look at that stat line. They'll be like, oh my God, Dobesh had an incredible game. Dobesh made some, like, remember some people got mad at me when I said this last week, where I called it kind of like a Grant Fuhr kind of win, where he, let in some goals, but he made the big saves when he needed to and gave his team a chance to win, right? The Grant Fuhr style. So he made a really, really big save in overtime, especially. That was a huge save, game-saving kind of save. Overall, coach, still some things in his game, still a little too over-aggressive, a little bit better catching the puck here and there. But again, still some work to do with Dobesh in terms of being a little bit too overactive in his crease, and a little bit too reactive. But, we like it when he fights. A lot of people like that he fights and that he makes these dramatic saves. But when you see a goalie make huge dramatic saves like that, guys, it means that he's probably out of position to begin with. If you want to go see the opposite, and we were just talking about Wallstad early in Minnesota, and he's had 4 shutouts in his last 6 games, go watch highlights of that guy. He almost doesn't move at all. Like, he's so economical. It's almost like he doesn't make any effort when he makes saves, because he's just always in the right place, always controlled. So I'd like to see a little bit more from that. People are saying he's a rookie. Well, guys, like, so is Wallstad. There's a lot of goalies that are rookies. It doesn't mean that you have to be overactive in the net. Like, listen, we love Dobesh's fighting spirit, and he does battle, but you have to be honest. Like, remember Martin St. Louis always talks about not letting results fool you in terms of the actual truth of what's happening. So if you want to be objective, you have to look at what Dobesh is really doing. And I love the kid. Like, he's got a lot of character, but he needs to chill out, and then he needs to be a lot more controlled. You can agree or disagree with me, but it's not just about being a rookie anymore. These are technical things that he needs to work on for sure. So I agree, with everything that you have here, coach. Like, my overall take on the game, I heard a lot of people talking about Kapanen, and I think you had, as part of our subject on this thumbnail, about whether Kapanen is a second line center or not. I think he's definitely overachieving right now. And I saw people, kind of, talking about how much better that line looked. But look at the difference in the opponent, guys. Like, if you look at the Winnipeg Jets last night, that Jonathan Taves, instead of facing somebody like Brock Nelson or facing someone like Cousins on Ottawa at center, it's a huge difference. Like, of course, Kapanen is going to look a lot more effective against Jonathan Taves and a really, really weak second line for the Winnipeg Jets, right? So, guys, I'm with you, coach. Like, it was a huge win. Montreal absolutely needed that win, and you have to give them credit for going out and getting that win. And Dobesh did make some really key saves. But overall, if Montreal they just can't afford to get fooled by this result, thinking that they're reached that, back to the level where they need to be to win games consistently in the NHL. They're not going to win games consistently in the NHL, especially with what's going on in the defensive zone, coach. Like their defensive zone coverage, they're now down, I believe, to 30th in the NHL for goals against per game. As we talked about at the beginning of the season, they need to finish at least top 16 in the NHL if they really want to be competitive. So listen, big win. And there's definitely some things that we like from that game. But after an off day today, Martin Saint-Louis definitely has some work to do tomorrow to get ready for Saturday against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
A lot of great comments there, Marco. You mentioned a lot of great things about the team overall, where I really agree with you about the game overall. Look, guys, it's big, huge W for Montreal. They need that, absolutely. They have to bounce back after the two bad games they lost, and that's good. They did it, and they deserve it. And I think, honestly, the team won last night. They deserve it, Marco. I think Montreal overall, they play better at Winnipeg. And
I'm seeing somebody saying here that Dobesh stole the game for them. I don't see that at all. Like, did you see how Mike Comrie played against Montreal? Like, he almost stole the game for Winnipeg, but how can you honestly think that Dobesh stole the game for the Montreal Canadiens last night? I just don't see it at all. I don't see that at all.
I don't know that comments, but Frank Barry is in the house. Coach Anderson, give me your take on the bring up Kapanen for a couple of games. Laval, we need a backup. I get it. Bring up the top guy and Troisier to back up Fuller. Just a thought about this. Going to give you that answer. Give me a couple of more minutes. Barry, going to get you that one. And A2, I agree with you about the Jet right there. Look, he saved the game on the overtime, honestly, on the big save. But the reason I said when Montreal deserve it more is because Comrie, guys, he play over his head. If Comrie make 3-4 big save for that team, and if Montreal was also more opportunist, that one would be honestly this would be a win for the Montreal Canadiens. That said, it was not always great for the Montreal. We just go through all its fun comments here. So I'm going to go, Marco, on the bad and the ugly. And the bad, guys, not opportunist. The first period, guys, first of all, 42 gave away puck last night. So we talk about two teams very bad on the ice last night. 42 gave away puck. Jet 26, 16 for the Montreal Canadiens. On the 26, Montreal Canadiens have 17 chance to scoring. 17 chance to scoring, guys. And we not score. We got only two of them. And then the Winnipeg Jet has 16 chance on the giveaway puck, and they have a 10 chance to scoring for the Winnipeg Jet. That said, Montreal at the first period, Marco, they could be 3-1 after the first 20 minutes. Madison, Evans, Camry make a big save with the right pad, diving on his belly about that. I think we have a post from Anderson or a Kapanen on the left side at the first period after that. And I think it was Demidov also got robbed on the first period too. Or Gallagher shoot the puck over the net, everything like that. At the first period, guys, we have a good period overall. But this was just because the Winnipeg Jet gave away puck, guys. They was not losing puck. They will give the puck straight to the Montreal Canadiens, Marco.
Right in the slot.
It was terrible. And Montreal cannot take advantage of that. Defensive zone coverage, better. The effort was better. But we make a lot of mistakes also, gave away puck. I'll give you an example. Cole Caulfield, 2 times he gave away puck on that one. At the first period, and it's still not great. We're losing some players on the ice. Again, they did it. They did a good job to win the game, but the defensive zone coverage was better, but not great at the end of the night. Evans line, Jake Evans line, I don't know what's going on with Jake Evans. Honestly, he's minus 12, I believe now, minus 13 with Jake Evans. Gallagher carry on now not only one piano, but now 2 piano. Anderson, he had a couple of good games like recently, but overall, Anderson does not have a great year like he did last season. And that line together last night was not very good. There was bench the night before that against Ottawa for that line. So this would be the bad for me. I would not like Martin St-Louis decision, Marco, on overtime. Joe Veleno to start this, and the Pittsburgh scored a goal. Malkin again did it at 2:43. Malkin backdoor goal on that one. So that's it, Marco. Martin St-Louis started with Joe Veleno. Again, another Chris Devorak move. And Veleno still on the ice for about 1 minute before he got removed. I didn't like that move over there. And on the shootout to send Alexandre Tessier, I don't get it also on that one for Martin St-Louis. And the ugly guy is Noah Thompson. Completely lost Dobson in the last 3-4 games. And also Madison does not play very well with him right now. And I said today, Marco, on my video you can watch every morning, I said, Marco, it's maybe time to split Strouble, Hudson, Madison, Dobson for one game. Because right now Hudson is bad with Strouble, and Strouble does not help Hudson right now. The game before that, there was -3 on the ice, both defensemen, and then last night was Dobson and Madison. They struggling again, and the 5-on-5 Montreal Canadiens guys, it's ugly. They cannot score. Power play goal last night, right? The first line does not score on 5-on-5 for many games right now. This is a team right now. Yes, they win, but watch out what's coming right now, because if they play the level they played the last couple of games, guys, not great, in my opinion. So I don't know if you want to add something there.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot to unpack, right? Like, just starting with their 5-on-5 play. I think you just can't compare. Like, you can't really use last night's game as a good representation of where their game is at, because I think Winnipeg right now is just not really the same level of competition that you want to compare yourself to, right? Like, to me, I take games like against Ottawa, the game against Dallas, and I take those games as measuring sticks a lot more than what's happening with Winnipeg, right? So again, you take the win, you still have to execute and go get that win. So I give them credit for that. But I think we'll know a lot more about where Montreal is at after this weekend, right? Like, let's see, can they use this win? Because we saw what happened, Coach. Like, we all thought that, okay, we saw Montembeault had a good game against Vegas. They had a big win against Vegas. Can they kind of like use that as a building block? Can Monty use that as a building block? And we didn't see it. They had a really poor game against Colorado. Like, again, tough back-to-back and everything. And then they followed up again with not a very good game in Ottawa. So again, like, you can't, this game for me against Winnipeg, again, it's big and you needed to get it, but it doesn't, I'm not going to read into it much more, because again, like, you can say, oh, they played better defensively. They're better in the defensive zone, but against what? Like, after the first line, the Winnipeg wasn't creating anything. So it's hard to say, are they going to be still better in their defensive zone when they're dealing with a much deeper team? We don't know that, right? So, and again, just to circle back on the Dobesh thing, I still see comments coming about that. I'm not saying Dobesh didn't have a good game. I'm just saying that people look at the .937 save percentage and they think like some people are saying that he saved the game for Montreal, and somebody was saying, well, he stopped all three in the shootout. Don't forget, guys, he got beat on the third shot and he hit the crossbar on the third shot in the shootout too, right? So, listen, I'm not saying Dobesh had a bad game. And at this stage, I'm not asking him to be perfect either. I'm just being honest in terms of not just me, but what most objective observers that look at him are saying is that he's too aggressive and he's not patient enough, and he needs to be a little bit more quiet in his crease, right? So he did make some big saves, but overall, if Montreal is going to rely on him moving forward, he's going to need to kind of clean those things up. So I'm not hating on Dobesh. We love that he's combative. Coach, I didn't love, having Veleno. Okay, if you're going to have him for the face-off, but then when they went back, he stayed on the ice almost for a whole minute, right? Like you said.
Yep.
So maybe that was a bit too long for him to stay. I'm not sure I agree with, like, I wouldn't, this sounds counterintuitive, coach, and I see why you would be tempted to maybe make a change with Matheson and Dobson. But and this might sound weird, but I think the last thing you need to do right now is change too much. Like, you do want some stability, because you want them to, like, they need to clean things up. Like it's not that they're not working hard. It's not like you need to get their attention. It's just, I think there's kind of a confidence issue with the overall. They're a little bit fragile. So I don't think you need to start changing up D pairs and all that at this stage. I think it'll do more harm than good if you do that, but I could be wrong. It's like, that's just my opinion, but that's not something that I would look at doing right now.
A lot of conversation. First of all, the time you're talking, the Florida Panthers, Nashville tied the game, Nashville 1-1. Tampa Bay tied the game 4-4, but we have a review call right there. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if ice stick or someone can tell me what's going on, but now they are like review call. 40 shot tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning and 30 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 70 shot, got Mr. Marco. This is maybe the highest number of shot in the NHL this year.
Wow. 4-3 Columbus right now with 12 minutes left too. Just hope that we don't get a 3-point game in that matchup, coach. Those 3-point games really, really hurt.
Can you review? I apologize, guys. This is a. Can you review a hand pass? It looked like it is.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
they're talking right now about the hand pass.
Yeah, you can.
The NHL, the team needs to score at least 3 goals per game. Cannot just blame the goalie if a team does not score 3 goals. As how high they will lose the game. Yeah, that's.
I don't know if that's.
You have a 6 goals per game, everything. So you need 3 goals per game. About that.
Yeah, but Montreal is allowing well above 3 goals per game right now. They're 30th in the league.
Oh,
wow.
Now, Tampa Bay, this it. You have about 20 people behind the bench for the Pittsburgh. When they announced the goal, the 20 people stand up in the building at the same time behind the bench. So, very interesting about what's going on there for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Barry asked this question, and I want you, and I'm going to talk later. But who do you start the game Saturday against Toronto as a goaltender? And do you call up Kapanen for a couple of games?
For sure you ride Dobesh into Toronto. There's no reason not to at this stage. Similar to why you went with Monty after he had a strong performance in Vegas, right? Like you're hoping that one of these goaltenders is gonna just build a little momentum and take them on a little bit of a run here. It's going to be very hard to do though with all the back-to-back games, right? So for sure you go with Dobesh on Saturday. I don't think we're at that stage yet where I'm ready to give up on Monty yet, or think that he needs like a full reset where you call up someone. Oh, Red Wings just tied it 4-4. Damn it. These Red Wings, man, they can score on the power play. It's crazy.
The power play is excellent. One of the best I see this year.
Yeah. So no, I don't think similar to what remember Toronto did this with Samsonov a couple years ago. They just basically said, you know what, take a mental vacation, work on your game for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. I don't think Monty is there, right? Because we saw him have a very, very strong game against Vegas. So what we need to see with Montembeault is to him have more than one game in a row where he's playing well, right? So if Montembeault was at this stage where his last 3, 4, 5 starts were really terrible, then at that stage I might think about a total reset and needs to kind of go work with his coaches. But it's not that far away, guys. Like he played really well in Vegas. To me, it's just something mentally right now. And again, like we've said before, like I was saying earlier, guys, I know you're not going to want to hear this, right? It's not going to be popular. If you look at Montembeault's numbers, if you just look at the save percentage, he's towards the bottom of the league, okay? But if you look at the environment that he plays in, what is the expected save percentage in the games that he plays? His actual save percentage is not very different. He's like slightly under what the expected save percentage would be in those games. So again, for somebody like Montembeault, you want him to make extra, like that's where that stat comes from. Goals saved above expected. He's been in the top of the league the last several years doing that. But again, he's not saving games for Montreal, but I don't think he's at that stage where you need to kind of send him on a mental vacation at this stage, guys. And so I don't see any benefit in calling Kapanen. I would play him the next day against St. Louis, and you just hope that he bounces back, and both goalies can kind of get a little bit of momentum. I don't know, Coach. Do you agree? Like, do you bring up Kapanen, or like it's not long ago Montembeault had a good strong game against Vegas here?
No, you're not bring Kapanen allowed, not because of Montembeault, it's because you're going to lose him on the waiver. That's the strategy on the roster right there. In my opinion, at least you send down Dobesh. I don't think so. Everybody wants to send down Dobesh. He's going to get anyway on the waiver, Kapanen. So you keep there. If you want to go that direction, Barry, and I take this at the beginning of the show. You call up, if you want to give a break to Montembeault, call up Fuller for Sunday game against the Blues. And you let him play one game, and you send him back down, give him some rewards, and see what he look like if you want to go there. But that will start a controversy, because now if he win Sunday, now you're going to get a lot of different things like that. But right now, Montembeault does not have no confidence, Marco. He's completely...
I don't know, but guys, I disagree. Like I'm seeing Frankie say the same thing. Yes, like he's had like so. Again, there's probably one or two goals.
Marco, how many games he have a good game in the last 8 games?
Had a good game. He just had a good game against Vegas last week, guys. He hasn't been able to put 2 games in a row together. Listen, I'm not trying to defend Montembeault. Like I know that he's been struggling, but I'm not like, how is it? He just had a good game against Vegas not that long ago. So what we need from Monty is for him to reproduce that. It's not that he's lost it completely. It's just he doesn't have that.
Yeah, but he lost against Sunday against the Blues. He lost next week again Tampa Bay, and he lost at some point. It's 10 games he does this. He have only 1 game since the beginning of the season.
It's not just all on him, though, Coach. The team's played like balls in front of him. Like I said, go and look at the analytics of what the expected save percentage is in his games. I'm not saying he's been good, but it's not all on him. Like the environment's been terrible. And I guess I'm not like, people are going to think that I'm like a Montembeault lover and I'm protecting him. I'm just saying, if you just look at it very, very kind of realistically, guys, if you're looking to what is the best chance for Montreal to win on a back-to-back, it's to play Dobesh against Toronto and to play Montembeault against St. Louis. Like, like it's a total random, it's a shot in the dark to do that to bring Kapanen or to bring Fowler. Again, you don't have to go back 5 months to last season or even early in the season. Like Montembeault is still an NHL caliber goalie, guys, that's having some issues with his confidence, and they're going to need him to make the playoffs, guys. Like I hate to say it, but if you're going to
this is where, Marco, I have to stop there. This is where season, Marco, you can dream about this. Exactly what happening, guys. They're not just going to go. The net is out of the pig, Marco, like forcing push the net completely out, and they score on that goal. It's crazy, Marco. Okay. And the people leave the building, and that's it.
I'm watching the Detroit game here. Now Detroit is winning 5-4, by the way.
But that's what I said to you early, right? What I said about Columbus.
Yeah.
They let the team leave about this one. That's crazy. I'm sorry about I cut you on that one,
no,
but
okay.
This was check the headlines about this one.
Yeah. So guys, like, listen, I know everybody wants to try to find a magic bullet with the goaltending, but you're not going to convince me that Montembeault has yes, does he have confidence issues? Are there some issues with his game right now? Absolutely, right? And he needs to fix it. And he's been nowhere where he needs to be. But it's more of an issue of how can he reproduce that game that he had against Vegas? And that's not long ago. That's like less than 1 game ago that he played that game.
That's last weekend.
He had 1 bad game. Yeah. So to me, there's a lot more guarantee that he can have that game versus bringing somebody like Kakinen. To me, Fowler, it's out of the question. You're not bringing him up at this stage. You don't want to play him in this environment, coach. Like you want to, if ever you're going to bring Fowler in, you're going to bring him into an environment that's way more solid and way more stable. I don't want him coming in this kind of environment. If that's my opinion. So if it's between Kapanen and Montembeault, even though Montembeault's struggling, I'm still going with that. I need to see him go completely off the rails for at least another 2 to 3 games before I kind of get there in terms of going there, for giving him some time off to do that.
All right. Well, a lot of people like that. Welcome back, Nicholas. Pete, I answered to your question in the chat, so we can go there. You're welcome, my friend. And the outplay, Mr. Marco, on that game last night, the obscure, the head office, and the turning point.
Yeah. I'm gonna for me, for stood out, I'm gonna go with Slav. Because just another good power play goal for him. Like I really liked his two-way play again. Like back on the top line. Playing those big minutes against the Scheifele line, and I think he just had a really good game. Physical. I love that shift where even though they scored, they ended up scoring on Montreal. That shift where he broke his stick and then he was like running around trying to hit people without his stick. Like I just like where his mindset is. Like you can see him developing his leadership skills. I think he really stood out to me last night. Obscure. That's a tougher one. Like, I know you were kind of criticizing the Evans line, coach, but I'm gonna actually. So you're right. They didn't capitalize on a lot of their chances, but I'm gonna say they were an obscure kind of like star of the or a good reason of why they came, because they were more physical last night against Winnipeg. They were creating a lot of pressure in the ozone. So to me, like they're an obscure, like they didn't score, they missed a lot of chances, but they did kind of. You could see that they accepted the challenge that Martin Saint Louis gave them of getting back together as a line, and they took it to heart, and they definitely played hard, and they had some good offensive zone pressure. So I would go with that line as obscure hero. At the office for sure is Bolduc again. Like I think he's making a habit of being there. He's been in the office a couple times the last couple weeks here, coach, as we've been kind of doing that. Just really hard to figure out what's going on with this guy being in Montreal versus being on the road. It's just so weird. He just looks like such a different player. But after that game against Ottawa, like where he just had a really, really terrible game playing on that top line, he saw his minutes slashed. I believe he had like 9 minutes against Winnipeg last night. So, you want to maybe bring him in the office, coach, and like just, keep him engaged and figure out kind of what's going on with this kid, because again, I'm not ready to kind of throw the towel in with him. Like you can tell he's got a good shot. We're definitely learning. Yesterday I was saying in the chat, like that he kind of reminds me of like a Rene Bourque kind of guy. So is he going to be kind of like a third line left wing guy that has a good shot, can play physical, that has decent speed, but he's not going to be, like a high IQ guy, right? Good third line winger. I think that's kind of what we're seeing from him, but he's going to need to learn to play better in his zone if that's what he's going to be. So to me, that's who I have in the office. For me, the turning point, it's later in the game, but to me, it has to be the save by Dobesh in overtime, right? Like, because without that was a pretty huge game saver for Montreal in that overtime. With the one-timer after the pass from Jonathan Taves in overtime, which allowed Montreal to get it to a shootout where they were able to win it. So that would be my turning point.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. A lot of great comments. The chat, a couple of people, it's fun opinion about the obscure, everything. Stood out for me. It's a little bit different because you have a couple of players you can mention. They have a good game. You go with
Slav first it out.
Bakaski, you go with that. I'm going to surprise all of you guys. I'm going with Dimidal for me. Dimidal jumping a couple of times. He laid that line, battled more. He's also he protect the puck very well on the board. That's what we're looking for. So for me, I would go with Dimidal. The obscure, I go with Jekai. I've been tough last week about the Montreal Canadiens. They are not respond and everything like that. And Jekai did it yesterday and have a good game. Jekai overall did not make mistake. He really have a good game opinion for Jekai from an obscure player. I tried to get someone now on the score sheet, Marco. That's what I'm looking for. And then at the first guy, I go with Dobson. Dobson for the last couple of games is really struggling. And last night, again, on the first goal, missed. We talk about Montreal. A lot of people talk about Montreal. It's fun between Montreal and Tabesh about how they compete. Thompson is look like he's not competing enough. He got beat on the first goal, and Madison tried to save him on that goal. So I'll go with Dobson on that one. The turning point, I have a couple of turning points during the game. The first one, I would say to you, the Jekai fight is one of the turning point right there. The turning point is Dimidab won the battle in the corner and Kapanen scored. That's a good one over there. But you're right about the big save on the overtime with the big 2-1. I believe it was a 2-1. Did he stop with the left pad? I think he stopped with the maybe in front of him. But that would be my point right there. My 4 point over there. And Ski Caulfield won Sakaski on the first line. Lay him there. Frank Barry, I agree. Montebo, no play off. Nicholas, I thought Bodzik was going to be an remplacement, but so far he is not close to that level yet. He maybe get there, but he is looking uncomfortable in the strange way. Kapanen stood out. Obscure Tobesh, turning point. Jekai. Standing up for his teammate. PL on the first goal. Yes, Thompson make a mistake, but why did the Jet have a wave of the player coming and the while Caulfield Suki? This is a next thing after Thompson. The first line should work a little bit more better to work coming back on that one. I agree with you. But they start with really with honestly with Dobson. But it's not only one mistake. I put him on the
no.
And
guys, Coach, I want to push back on this whole thing about Monty not having a good work ethic or having not being a battler. Like, you know, I don't agree with that. And everything that we hear is that Monty is a really hard worker and he actually works really hard in practice. And, you know, like, I don't know if you want to confuse, like, do you want your goaltender to be somebody who is like to be like a Jordan Binnington where he's like battling? Like, I want my goaltender to be calm, to be composed, to be controlled. You know, so I like, listen, I like that Dobesh is a fighter and that like he's combative, but don't confuse Montembeau's work ethic. Like I saw that comment from PLW that Montembeau just doesn't have like a strong work ethic or doesn't have that battle. Guys, like, look at Montembeau's face. And again, I sound like I'm protecting Montembeau. Like I think he's, you know, but I think he can definitely play better than he's playing. And I just don't think it's fair for people to say that he doesn't have a strong work ethic or that he's intense. Look at his face when he's really focused, guys. You can see he's really focused. He cares. Like, you can't say that Montembeau is not a guy that cares, works hard, and is trying hard. Obviously, he has some confidence issues right now, and there's some rebound control issues that are really a problem for him, right? But I don't think it's fair for people to start kind of questioning his work ethic or if he doesn't compete enough. Like, you can't, again, guys, we can't compare goaltenders to fourth line grinders. You know, like we love our grinders and we love our blue collar work ethic in Montreal. Like, we always love those players. But for a goaltender, is that really the main thing that you're looking for? Don't we want somebody that's controlled, that's calm? And I think we need to see more of that from Dobesh for me to feel more confident that he's going to be somebody that they can continue to lean on. So I just wanted to say that because I see all this stuff going through the chat about
Yeah, the
Montembeault
only thing I
not.
would say to you, Marco, about this, one thing I don't know what we can explain, like someone competitive, everything like that, right? I think the behavior of Tobias is more showing at Montembeault, but here's the trend right there, Marco, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not a goalie expert, so I'm not, but just from my eyes. I think Montembeault, and I don't like the word, but it's not tough enough. Like Sanderson, Marco. Sanderson, when he cut at the front line. Put your stick out. Stop this guy. Don't let him go in front of the net. I'll give you an
That's
example. You have some
confidence.
player in the crease. He never pushed anybody. He let them
That's
play, then go
confidence,
back
coach.
in over there, and he's not. Tobias, he will do a cross-checking in the back of the body of the guy over there. You have some goalie, he will respond on that. Montembeault, he just stay there and just let it go, and then like that. That's the trend for me for Montembeault. I want
So you
some
like the
kind of
Jordan?
the toughness, like a desire. You know what? Smash one in front of you. You know what? Next time you come back on my crease, I'm going to give you another slash in the back. That's what we're looking for. Same thing. You get a 2 penalty. I'm okay with that as a coach. You know what? Nobody will to push my goalie in front of the net. Jacky push on one in front of the net. Smash the guy in front of the net. Get 2 minutes. It's okay. You're going to go in front of my players anymore. That's something you need. You need that kind of response, and Montembeault does not have that kind of the vibes on that one.
Okay, so I'm going to agree with you that Montembeault, okay, certainly right now, because of his confidence, he is not being aggressive and there's parts
Aggressive,
where
that's the word. My head's coming to soft. It's not soft. Aggressive.
yeah,
That's the word I'm
aggressive.
looking for. Aggressive.
Yeah, and
Completely agree with you.
I see some people saying it's anticipation, but guys, that's all confidence. It's not that he can't do that, right? It's just that when you don't have confidence, that's where your timing is off, right? Like you question whether you should do this and you start to second guess your things. You're thinking too much, right? It's all about confidence. Montembeault has the ability to do that. He's proven it over. Like he has a decent track record now over 2 to 3 seasons with Montreal to show that he can do that. And right now, it's just kind of a confidence thing. And so, listen, like I think I like that Dobesh has a little bit of that, but I'm not a huge fan of goalers like Binnington, for example, who completely lose their cool often. Like I prefer to have, to me, like a goalie is better. Like it's better for a team when they bring calmness and confidence, right? So I get it. Anticipation, being able to aggressively kind of fight through traffic and all those things. I think Montembeault has that capability for sure. It's just right now he's just second guessing his instincts because of confidence. It's not a mindset thing. It's not that he's not combative. It's not that he's not like a fighter or anything like that. It's really just what's in between his ears right now. And that's why, like, again, you saw he can do it against Vegas. Like he played a very solid game, was more controlled his rebounds, managed the puck. So listen, I'm not saying Montembeault is like, the savior of the Montreal Canadiens.
Sorry about that. That's a weird 5-5. Werenski score again.
Oh, I'm a little bit behind here.
Yep. Good comments about that. A lot of people about this. So A2 for the first time in NHL career, Montembeault face expectation is failed. Let's move on. Montembeault will never be a good goaltender as Binnington. And a lot of people move about that one there. So they want to maybe find a new goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens. And that would bring me here, guys, Ad Rumor. On my thumbnail, we have 2 subjects, and we have 10:08, Marco. It's crazy. We could talk about this. A lot of people are fired up right now. Bring your comments. If you don't mind, it'd be great. Let's move on with that one, Mr. Ab Rumor. Montreal Canadiens on conversation to get Greg Binnington. Are you agree or disagree with that part over there? Montreal Canadiens are on the conversation to get Laurent Brossoit of the Chicago Blackhawks. Are you agree with that? Or are you agree Montreal should just call up Kapanen and goalie with 3 goaltender for a couple of weeks? Or the Montreal again could call up Jacob Fuller? Or at the end of the day, for all of you in the chat, give me your opinion. What you think Montreal should do to fix the problem in Montreal between the pipe at this moment? You got everything. And all the rumor for Bennington is on social media, brought by some expert insider in NHL, and same thing with Laurent Brossois, and some other thing from, honestly, from the inside of Montreal Canadiens for goaltender. So, here we go. That's your turn,
Yeah.
Marco, and the people in the chat.
Yeah, so I think, well, I was just talking about kind of what my stance is about bringing up somebody like Hakkinen. I don't think, trading for someone like Binnington is a solution at all. So, okay, let me go through this. I'm not in favor of bringing up Fowler right now at all. You guys saw what I said in my headline. If you missed it, most goalies only really start when they're like 23, 24. And if you are going to bring him a bit early, even just for a couple games, I would much rather do that when Montreal has his shit in order, not when everything is, the defensive zone coverage is terrible. It's not the right time to bring in somebody like Fowler in the HL, in my opinion. In terms of bringing up Kapanen, I think you're much better off just giving, until I see Monty really kind of go off the rails here for another 2 to 3 games. I'm giving him a little bit more rope just because he had that good game in Vegas. So I'm hoping that he can kind of like get back on track here a little bit. But I would revisit that. If Monty continues to de-escalate in the next 3-4 games, then you're going to have to start looking at maybe doing something like that. But I'm not there yet with Montembeault. In terms of making a trade for goaltending, like my headline said, I don't think Fowler is going to be ready to play for the Montreal Canadiens, being ready to be as a starter for at least 3 years, guys. So I'm not against going and trading for another goaltender to change our mix, but it's got to be somebody that's going to play for the next 3-4 years to kind of bridge that gap between when Fowler maybe is going to be ready to be in the NHL. That's why I really wish they would have made a trade for Askarov in the past, like when they had the opportunity to do that, right? So I think ultimately, I wouldn't trade for somebody like Craig Binnington. Brossois, I don't know, coach, like I guess like he just hasn't really played a lot of hockey in the last 2 years. So again, I'm not ready to make that panic move. I would much rather Montreal hold on to those assets. They still need to keep those assets, coach, to trade for a second line center eventually, whenever that can happen. So I would not be in favor of going for, you said Craig Binnington, but definitely not Craig Binnington, but Jordan Binnington, either Binnington. I wouldn't trade for them at this time.
I asked this question for all of you in the chat also with Marco. Marco, you gave me an answer. Why we don't go with Tobesh Saturday and Sunday when you have Nick Ski play both game or Mike Minnesota play 50 minutes per game? Why a goaltender cannot be back-to-back goalie?
I think it's just, okay, so one wrong doesn't make two right, coach. Like, they are playing Suzuki way too much, and we didn't talk about that tonight. Like, but that's a huge problem. Like with the condensed schedule, Montreal will need to kind of balance out their ice time here. You saw what happened when Evans took that penalty and Suzuki had to kill penalties. Like, I'm really concerned about burning out Nick Suzuki here, coach. Like, it's a lot for him to take on, and he's been amazing. Like, but you can't expect him to be at the same level playing the amount of minutes that he is. Again, I just don't understand the benefit of doing something like that, coach. Like Montembeault, again, I'll say it again, just 2 games ago played very well against Vegas.
Marco,
and he did.
Marco, that's great. But 9 other game is
okay.
.800, .610. He get removed 2 times in the last 5 games.
You're looking at the save percentage, coach. We just talked about that. You can't just
I'm talking about his game.
Yeah.
And the last 5 games, he get removed 2 times. Now you give me 1 game for Vegas, but before that, he get removed 2 times.
Yep. And Montreal played very poorly in front of him too, and he didn't have there's some bad goals for sure. But I'm just saying that if you're just trying to give yourself the best odds of winning, I think you have a better chance of winning playing Montembeault on the back-to-back than playing Dobesh 2 games in a row. Like I don't think you're giving yourself you're not giving yourself a better chance to win by having him play back to back. Now, unless something crazy, like let's say they play against Toronto and he has a super easy night where only faces like 15 shots and like it's not impossible, right? But
Marco,
it would
if
have
we
to be
beat Toronto Saturday, Tobash, and he have an excellent game, he just beat Winnipeg and
yep.
Montreal. He did bad Saturday. Anderson is the back-to-back. Anderson, you travel everything like that. I understand it's not the best thing to do, but what we have right now, I think one we said that's enough. That's my maybe the best question. One you said that's enough. If Montreal plays Saturday, Monday, Sunday, and he gave a bad game again, and then next week have another back-to-back game, we're on the same story next week when we talk each other. No.
So guys, I was seeing in the chat here. So again, it's not about me having or not having confidence in Montebo. We're talking about what gives Montreal the best chance. What are the best chances that they can give themselves to win with the situation that they have, right? So the options are okay. You could go trade for someone, but that's not likely to happen, or it's way harder to make that happen. You could. So the options are you call up somebody to play instead of Montembeault. I'm not, again, I don't think that really necessarily increases your chances of winning. It's kind of a wild card. Playing Dobesh back to back in that situation, again, I don't like the statistics show that it's very rare that a goaltender is going to be able to match the performance on the second part of the back to back. That's just science, coach. Like that's just not how you do it in the NHL nowadays. It's too much for teams or for goalies to do. So it's not about me, guys. Like again, if you look at Montembeault's track record, there's more track record that shows us that he's a goalie that we knew from last year more than what we've seen this year. Now, again, he hasn't shown us a lot of that this year. And for sure, there's a lot to be concerned about. And I'm not saying that there is limitless faith that you can have in him either, but I'm just saying that at this stage of where Montreal is, I think you don't have a choice but to hope that he can have another game like Vegas here, try to kind of get himself back to where he was and build some momentum. And if you don't see that, say within the next five games here, then you're going to have to revisit it. But I'm just not ready to completely sign off on Montebo at this stage. So it's all about odds, coach, and it's all about kind of what gives yourself the best chance to win. And I don't think going back to back with the same goaltender does that.
Yeah, we have to wait. We'll see what happening about that, and that will give us another good conversation, Marco, next week when you come back together. It's nothing wrong. It's fun a view of how we see things. So I think everybody have and I think the chat they had fun observation and the view from Mark, from PLW, N26, A2, everybody. That's okay. That's make us. That's good. That's what is about this. On this one, yeah, Dobesh can handle it. Luciano, sorry, yeah, let's go Dobesh tonight. My other subject is Oliver Kapanen. Is he a second center for the Montreal Canadiens? Is it the one on the transition? Is it a long term? How do you feel about that? We're always looking for the second center. How we may be looking for the winger over that? I don't know. But how you feel about the Oliver Kapanen and the people in the chat? Let us know if you don't mind.
I think it's not an easy answer, right? Because either way that you look at it, coach, Montreal needs another center and a left-handed center. Whether because I still think that Montreal is going to be a team that has like three lines that are kind of balanced, right? So you could have Kapanen continue, like if it turns out that Demidov and Kapanen just continue to have great chemistry with each other, then I'm fine leaving Kapanen playing with Demidov and then you keep Slavkovsky there or something else, right? But you still need another center to play, with to give that left hand shot because it's not going to be Veleno. So again, like you only need to be a competitive team here. You want your second line center to get at least 50 points, right? But we've seen that Kapanen is pretty solid on faceoffs. He's a good two-way guy. So Like, remember, coach, we were talking about a player like Braden Hayden, to play for that. He might be a good fit as a second line center for the Montreal Canadiens. Do you see that maybe Kapanen can be as productive as Braden Hayden from the Utah Mammoth? Like, I think he could be as productive as a player like that. The only problem is that he shoots on the right. So we're still going to need a left-handed center at some point. So the answer is he's not the ideal second center because he shoots right. But in the long term, if they are able to find another center that can play on a different line, at least Montreal knows that this combination seems to work pretty good with Kapanen and Demidov.
Some people compare him to Blikanet.
I think Plekanec's a little bit more offensive upside that I would say than Kapanen, based on what I've seen so far. But for sure, Kapanen is one thing people don't realize, coach. Like he's a lot bigger and heavier than people think, right? He's 6'2", slightly over 200 pounds, Kapanen, right? So he's a lot heavier than somebody like Plekanec. So listen, like he has a lot of the things that you're going to look for. The real problem is that he doesn't shoot left. So I think, if you can still find somebody that can play in your top six as a center that shoots left, that can take faceoffs, that has a little bit more size, I think that's kind of what you're going to be looking for. So he wouldn't be the worst solution long term, but either whether it's second line or third line, Montreal 100% needs to add another center to play, and that's going to be able to shoot from the left and take faceoff. So not sure I'm ready.
Is a left shooter, right?
Zarovsky is the left shooter, yeah.
Yeah, Michael is a right shooter.
He is. And I still don't really 100% convinced that either of those guys are going to be centers. I think Hage is the more that I watch Hage, coach, the more I compare him to, he reminds me of Jordan Kyrou. He's going to be like, kind of like a perimeter kind of good scoring winger, that's really exciting to watch, but I don't see him being a center. That could change, but right now, from what my assessment is, I see him as kind of like a Jordan Kyrou kind of guy. And Zarovsky, maybe, but he's at least 3 years away from playing in the NHL, at least. So, and guys, remember we talked about aggressive patience for this rebuild. Nick Suzuki is going to be 30 and 40 in 4 years from now.
So why is Zarovsky is 3 years? Why not he can be with Montreal in 2 years?
You think he's going to just do you think he's talented enough to jump right? You don't think he's going to need?
This is very almost copycat of Demidov.
Yeah, but coach, yes, he might have the same skill, but is he going to be able to jump right in? Maybe. So minimum 2 years. But you have to be conservative and think it's possible. If he does come in 2 years from now, Montreal, you think Montreal, there's pressure to win right now. If you're going to bring in another rookie to play in your top six right away, and when you're expecting,
maybe not top three, it could be a third line on that one for sure. I think for me, I said, and I repeat again, guys, Montreal Canadiens are not going to get a second center, are going to get a winger. To take their spot at Patrick Laine next season. And I think for me, Kapanen is the brain. His brain guy is so high, like everyone. The second center for me, that question tonight, guys, this is the second center we have. It's Kapanen. Plekanec, I was funny because PW is like me. He always told us 29 points first year in NHL. Plekanec 9 goals, 20% in NHL, and we did Plekanec right now is on the pace to get 25 goals right now at 44 points. I checked all the we did I did the exercise during summer, Marco. If you get 40 points plus for the second center, the chance to make the playoff is 70% in NHL in the last 5 years. About that, for me, you cannot fix your second center. You're absolutely right. We need a left shoulder, a left center at the bottom six.
You keep saying Plekanec. You mean Kapanen?
Yeah, Kapanen. Yeah. Apologize. But that said, I feel like we need to add a really solid winger for next year for the Montreal Canadiens. Patrick Laine is leaving. And then Edge. Now, Zarowski could be that insert, but I'm not sure he's going to get. By the way, Kapanen is at 48.8% face-off. Not too bad on his first year with
his
over
face-offs
100
are fine.
attempts on the face-off. How about that?
You just need to upgrade on Veleno for your, or Newhook, when he's back.
Yep. I agree with you about that.
As long as you have somebody that can take left shot face-offs that in your top 9, that would be nice. But again, I have no if Kapanen turns out to be a 50-point player that plays with Demidov on the second line, and then you throw somebody else, or if let's say they keep Slav there and then they go get somebody else to play on the top line. Like, one thing we haven't talked about, Coach, is Kirby Dach when he comes back. What if they put him back with Caulfield and Suzuki on the top line as a winger? They had a lot of success when they first played together, right? That way, we know that's a combination that works pretty well. It gives them similar kind of what they had with Slav, like big body, can win, kind of like pucks back for them in the corner. It's a proven formula that works. And that way you can keep Slav with Demidov and with Kapanen. That's something that could work.
Oilers destroy Kraken 6-2 after the game.
Nice.
Yeah, that has been there too. That's another one we can add more on the top 6 for sure. They can't show how many journeyman players Sarowski is playing. Businessman is ready as the was. Kapanen is not second line center. I disagree with you about that. And 26. Martin Louis explained this every night after the press conference about the Kapanen. We are still many paces away. That's okay. I have some time. Nicholas, would you rather go for Forsberg to play with Demidov and Kapanen, or go with a true second center this year? I would say yes. You need a winger for that part over there, because if you get a second center, guys, we have to give asset.
Yeah, but Coach Dach. So if let's say we go with what we just said. If Dach is now the winger on your first line,
Dach is not going 30 goals in the NHL.
So, but like what you just said, right? So if you need Dach to score 30 goals on your first line, you just need him to score like 20, 25 goals like Slav was doing, and you still have a very good line.
Dach is not going to be that kind of players, Marco. You need a players have more at Dach to be a really top team in the NHL.
Well, Slav got 50 points in the last 2 seasons, Coach, and the Suzuki line was one of the top 5 lines in the league. So if Dach can give you similar to what Dach was or what Slav was giving you on the first line,
I understand, Marco. You're not going to win reach the final with Kirby Dach on your top 6.
I don't know, Coach. Like, we haven't seen him healthy long enough. Like, they're still evaluating that, right? On the wing, right? Like,
I think on the wing center, whatever you want to put him, you cannot win with Kirby Dach. You need to get better. You need to be better. Like you just said, we cannot win with Joe Veleno. When I said, for me, it's like you need to be better at Kirby Dach.
Because you're creating a team that has balance down the lineup, right? So we know that Suzuki, Caulfield, and Dach has had some good chemistry in the past, right? So then if that leaves you with Kapanen, Slav, and Demidov on the second line, if you could add a third line center that takes the faceoffs on the left, that's a true guy, like let's say a Barrett Hayton kind of guy, like a good third line center, then eventually Newhook comes back. Eventually, then you can kind of start. You put Anderson on that line. Then you're dropping Evans as your fourth line. Like, now you're cooking a little bit, right? Like, I think that's a little bit better. And then you can save your assets for something else, Coach. Like, really, really wait until you get that second line center, so that eventually you can move Kapanen to the third line, right? But then you can be patient for that second line center until the right opportunity comes along. But I honestly, I'm predicting it right now here, guys. Like, as soon as Kirby Dach comes back in January, I think that's what they're going to try. They're going to try him on the top line.
Your idea right now, your ideas right now is not wrong at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what we got. That's what we have, right? and your hook is not there. So I like that. I'm not disagreeing, but I said next year, everything like that, you cannot put Kirby Dak on your top six and Montreal
We'll have to
Canadiens.
see. We'll have to see. Yeah, that's the
Uh,
whole point of this year, coach. Like we talked about, like they're like Kirby Doc. They have to figure out what's going on with him, right? Like they have to make a decision with him. So he has to stay healthy. Let's see what he would do on a top line by the end of the year. I think they're still going to give him a chance to prove what he has. And if not, then you're going to have a lot of cap space. But problem is that there's not a lot of free agents out there this summer, so it's going to be hard to kind of stock up. And we know what the trade market is right now. So
one more thing before we leave is already I did not we did that no, we did the subject. That's a good thing about this one. With that, we did the game. Everything is really good, but I have other things, the clash, everything. But I'm not going to get that. We talk about the rumor for the Montreal Canadiens, so we're going to stay there, if you don't mind. And it's not about the goalies, but they lead the goalie guy we did already. Now, they have a big remark for the Vancouver Canucks for Kiefer Sherwood to get that. So I want to hear from everybody in that chat. Are you looking for Sherwood? Yes or no? If yes, what is the price? What are you going to give to Vancouver to get Sherwood? And that'll be complete the show tonight with that one. Maybe 2 minutes about the press for the game this weekend, but that's pretty much it.
yeah, listen, I love Sherwood as a player, but it's not. I don't think it's. I think I would much rather for Montreal to go find the next Sherwood rather than trading for a guy that's right now at his peak value. You're buying super high on him, and I would just rather Montreal save their assets, even because right now he'd be a pure rental, right? So I don't think Montreal's at the stage where they're just trading assets for pure rentals, coach. And I'm not sure that he's somebody that's going to do a sign and trade. I'm pretty confident that he's somebody that's going to want to go to the free market, to the open market, because he's going to cash in like crazy this summer because the free agent market is going to be terrible. So I love the player, and it's exactly the type of player that we want. But I would rather Montreal's pro scouting go find the next Kiefer Sherwood rather than us paying top dollar for this Kiefer Sherwood, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm excited about that on Sherwood. First of all, Sherwood was a center that we're helping more. He's just like a winger, Marco. I think he got some hype. You know who he remind me? I'll be laughing about this. And I always said that, guys, he can hit. He can hit. He hit, 462 before
he
that.
Led the NHL by over 100 hits more than the next guy last year, coach. So he's a machine.
He did that. But it's 12 goal, guys. It's a bit like, how we call it, like, not a burn, but it's like Jake Evans December last year with the Montreal Canadiens. That's my point here. Like, Evans scored like...
He had 18 goals. He had 18 goals last year. Here's a great example for Habs fans, okay, that will remember this, okay? Remember how excited we were when Marc Bergevin traded Dale Weiss and Fleischmann for Danault? That's the kind of trade this could be for Montreal, but on the wrong side, right? You go get like a player like like a Dale Weiss, that was kind of like a good energy player, was scoring some goals because he was playing on with Desharnais and like Pacioretty at the time and stuff like that. And Montreal traded him and Fleischmann for, I believe it was a second round pick and Philippe Danault. The second round pick eventually became Alexander Romanov, right? So you don't want to be the Chicago Blackhawks in this scenario where you trade for a sexy player that you think is going to help you in the short term, and you end up giving some pretty good assets that are going to be problematic. Like PLW says, there's some other players on Vancouver that it would look at first that might be less expensive. And we talked about some other ones. Eric Holla in Nashville, that would be a decent, not as expensive solution to look at. Like there's some other things to look at.
Yeah, definitely about that. I agree with you about this. I just try to get all the rumor around the Montreal Canadiens for that one. So I think there will be something we have to go about that. And that's it, Marco. I'm going to let you know, 10:33. I want to give you the time to get out of this at the right time. So appreciate that. Your insight tonight. We're going to see you Wednesday, and we have something special Wednesday with you.
Yeah. Tune in, guys. Next Wednesday, we think we'll have Frank back on the show. So looking forward to that. Coach, maybe I'll pop by on Sunday too, if Intertap and you want to for doing Sunday, or no, it's back-to-back games right this weekend. So yeah, I guess it'll be Wednesday.
Yeah, I know. Show we go Monday with Intertap game Montreal. Wednesday, Montreal again, Laval, and then Saturday again. I think we have a back-to-back game next weekend also.
That's true. Yeah.
So
it's gonna be fun. It should be fun.
I'll be awesome, Marco. Let's you go, and thank you so much, Marco. We'll see you next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, Marco. It's important. All right. See you, buddy. Thanks so much, Marco. It was Marco Larrabee, guys, directly from Hawkesbury and the house at the Hockey Nation show. And I have a lot of great questions for the clash tonight, but it's a little bit late. I don't want to get you old guys here on this show, but we'll be back tomorrow night. Now, and debate between Laval Rocket at 7 o'clock or go with a fun Friday night show. We'll see. Maybe go with Laval Rocket, coincidence with a fun Friday night show with the French quiz, everything like that. Don't forget, guys, the Survivor party during the weekend. Survivor consists, we have a second contest. It's Mr. PW won the contest number 1. I said, Coach, I did not play last week. I'm out. Not at all. You have not only one live anymore. So if you want to join the Survivor, send me your pick by email or tomorrow night at the live stream or Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. You can send me the pick about your Survivor. That would be the gateway to do that. A lot of great comments. Good night, Marco. Great disagreement with you tonight. Keep the faith, Marco. Great shot, you guys. Thank you, engaging. Thank you, Marco. Appreciate it. You know, this is the beauty about that. Agree, disagree. That's the part about what I like to do here. And if you don't mind to click on the like before you leave the building, that'd be great. And that'd be awesome. Time for me, guys, to come back. What if I open my soul? Sorry about that. We have a new animal now in the kingdom. A snake popped up last night, yesterday afternoon, in the jar of the fish. We got some catfish. We have a big barrel, and we clean the water, and then Grandma found a snake. So I fight a snake last night. Is a snake. You're not going to die by the snake. It's not a big snake, like maybe 3 feet, 2.5, but it's a small one. But if he get you get swollen, everything like that. It's not big. It's not a big deal. But at the end of the day, guys, snake is another story in the chat. And now the ducks moved with the chicken last night. I don't know what happened about this. We need to fix this. We have a lot of work to do. And that's all going on in Thailand. Calvin's got to go. Thank you, Calvin. Kelvin did it again. First goal of the night. The only goal to get. That's good, people in the chat. Thanks so much, Cash Fan. Thanks, Marco Larrabee. Thanks, RJ Rebro, with all the update left and right at the Hockey National Show. And we want to thank all of you to be a part of the show. And it was a great and fun night to be all together. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow night. Moderator Ron, and thanks so much to be with us. We want to thank also Kelvin for the goal, and all the people with us with great conversation. And of course, I can't wait to see you during the weekend. Montreal play 2 games. Toronto. We're going to talk about this tomorrow night. We have a lot of suggestions. I let it go tonight. I can't wait to see all of you tomorrow night. Pete Martin, PS. and many others. Mark, PLW, always a pleasure to see you late Thursday night. PS also. And I can wish you be well, BL. Find a way not only dominate your day, but find a way to dominate the second half of what? Look like Watson said 2025 between two chauffeurs. Ben while Nicolas, Coupe du Monde demain. Coupe du Monde World Cup tomorrow for the team and make it. Don't forget that one. We're going to talk about this if you follow that. And of course, the Hockey Nation, the Ab Nation, and all the animals. And the Kingdom said, we love you, friends. Time to go eat. Time to watch more hockey. Chicago is back now. I'm going to watch in Chicago the rest of the night and writing for 2 articles we need to do before the end of the night. Cash fan, thanks so much. Billy, Guy, you guys, you're awesome. Thanks for being all the shot with us. Oh, merci, Pete Martin, and booyah!